Hardware.
What the hell are they?
Fratelloni's
Just a minute.
Hardware.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Store.
That's right.
Well, brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1345, July 18, 2024. I should know that. I mean, I spent half my life at Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Store. 101 degrees on this day in 1940 and 52 degrees on two occasions, 1937, 1976. Boy, we had a cold snap in 1976. That's the second day in a row for 52 degrees in 1976. The kids weren't swimming those days, but they'll be swimming now. So if you own a lake home or you got the old swimming hole out back with the tire swing, I hope you get a hold of the people at Aquaside. Their products will keep the swimming area free of weeds and algae. The products are made in White Bear Lake. The products are easy to use and they work quickly. And Aquaside is registered with both the EPA and DNR. They've signed off on these products. They're okay. Don't let weeds overtake your lake or pond this summer. Call Aquaside today. They'll help you identify your weed problem. Make sure your place looks great all summer long, and there's a lot of summer left. Call Aquaside at 1-800-328-9350 or go to aquaside.com.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Souchere.
Before we get to the heart of matters, Bill Stein weighs in from up in Aiken regarding the quarry in St. Cloud we discussed yesterday. You know, another question, former State Senator Dave Osmek reminded me. There was another question we didn't ask about that unfortunate drowning at the quarry in Waite Park, where the family now wants justice. I wonder if he could swim.
I was actually thinking of that yesterday, but I didn't want to seem insensitive about
No, and I don't mean it to be insensitive. And there are just many signs admonishing the people in that park to have a care. But I wonder, I hope the guy could, well, it's too late to hope he could swim, isn't it?
Well, I guess the conclusion to be drawn is it safe to assume that he could not?
We don't know, but Bill weighs in. That quarry water is spring water from the aquifer, the same way the Crosby mines filled up with water. The water is clear and cold. All right, thank you. The heart of matters would be this. I just can't believe Biden will be the candidate much longer than this weekend. He now has a COVID diagnosis. Prior to that, he was saying that he would be amenable to stepping down in the event he got a doctor's diagnosis of something. I think the table's being set. And then if you saw him yesterday leaving Air Force One, it was a real struggle because presumably the COVID was taking its toll on him. But then when he got into the beast, the limo, which was driven right up to the foot of the stairs, he couldn't. He needed help to get in a car and sit down. And again, if that's COVID symptoms rendering him exhausted, that's one thing. But I think they're setting the table here. I think they realize that as much as he wants to run, he is not going to be able, literally won't be able to.
In your opinion, was it real or was it acting?
What?
Biden yesterday. What you saw?
God knows, real. I mean, he was struggling. He needed a Secret Service guy to hold him while he got into the car.
So if I hear you correctly, COVID's going to take out Biden like it did Trump in 2020.
Well, it didn't take out Trump.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He did almost die from it.
Who did? Trump?
Trump, yeah. Don't you remember when he got really sick?
I don't remember that.
He was in the
So
hospital.
He took that horse tranquilizer.
Oh, that's when he took the
got
horse
all better.
tranquilizer.
Yeah, he
that's right.
took everything. Yeah, they gave him the new thing that.
Oh, now I guess I do
Sure.
vaguely remember that. Yeah, you're right.
Jordy thinks that putting Joe in the basement timeout right now is the best option because Jordy remains convinced he's going to be the candidate and notes that his next real fight will be the convention and he needs a few weeks to recover. Not a single member of Biden's entourage, including Biden, have been wearing a mask, not the driver, aides, advisors, medical team, SS detail, USAF personnel. No one had a mask. The only Dems telling Biden to step down are in safe seats where they are virtually guaranteed re-election. It's all a bunch of theater. Did anyone watch another note on the quarry from Scott Woolery. Hail the Flashlight King.
Hail you.
I have other material for you to discuss, but I'll send it along in another day or two. As to your mentioning of the movie Breaking Away, I have some very personal contact with that movie. Having been born in Bloomington, Indiana, and after growing up elsewhere in Indiana and Ohio, I attended Indiana University. While there, I frequented the quarry in the movie a number of times. My first time was with Dick the Bruiser's frequent tag team partner, Wilbur Snyder, who was also a partner of Vern Gagne on a few occasions, including against Dick the Bruiser. If you recall, there's a scene in the movie where the father of the bike rider returns to a stone mill where he had previously worked. That mill was the Woolery Stone Company, which was our family's business much of the 20th century. The fellow he cuts the stone with is my father's cousin, Bob Woolery. The money paid by the movie company to the mill for the use of the mill and its property enabled it to remain open for a couple of more years, as limestone is not a profitable business. No, Kenny, the quarry in the movie is not granite. That said, you can see a lot of our family stone on buildings throughout Indiana University, as well as the government buildings around Indiana and the Midwest. Perhaps the most famous building using our stone would be the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. I have attached a photo of the company's sign that I removed from the property and have hung in our home in Tennessee. The frame for that sign sits on our property in Minnesota. Good luck, Scott. He did send me the sign. It just says Woolery Stone Company. But isn't that interesting that any mention of anything can ring a bell with a GLer?
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think?
Try to. I've never seen that movie. I'd love to see it.
Oh, you should.
I was referring to St. Cloud. That quarry is granite. Tell me about Target Center. Where do we get that stone? Isn't that limestone?
Probably Mankato.
Mankato, yep.
Okay. I
Okay.
think a lot of Mankato limestone is on the University of St. Thomas campus.
I did not know that.
A lot of limestone.
Yep.
I watched J.D. Vance last night.
What'd you think, Joe?
I think he's a poor public speaker. I loved what he said. I like him. I like his story. I'm holding everything in reserve.
Is it because he's new at this?
Well, he's not new to me. He's the author of a book I really enjoyed. So he's not really new to me. I'm getting a chance to meet him. And that was his role last night. Here I am, ladies and gentlemen of America. This is me, and here's my story. He had his mom with him. She's going to be 10 years sober in January.
Congratulations.
And he said, let's have the party at the White House, which I thought was pretty cool for celebration. But as a public speaker, I just kept saying, let's go here. Come on.
Chris, you weren't listening during the pre-show meeting. You were doing other things. I said, the reason he did so poorly is because he knew Such was listening and he was nervous.
Right. It's like when we do a live read during the show.
That's exactly what I told him.
He took too many pauses. He didn't keep it moving along.
Wait a minute.
Chris.
You're the one telling me to slow down every time I do a live read.
I told him I could talk to 1 million people, but if I saw Joe in the crowd, I'd crap my pants.
Because he'd be doing this with his watch.
Yes. Yeah.
The Walls comparison to Timbuktu remains fantastical. There is no comparison. Timbuktu notes Governor Walls comparing the background to J.D. Vance is disingenuous. it's worse than that. They are not at all familiar. J.D. Vance grew up in poverty. His mom was a drug addict, and he was raised by his grandma, Mau Mau. Walls grew up in a two-parent middle-class family. His father was a public school administrator in Chadron, Nebraska, and a member of the Super Club. J.D. Vance enlisted in the Marines straight out of high school in 2003 when our country was at war with Iraq, and he served in Iraq. Walls joined the National Guard in 1981 when our country was at peace, and he was stationed in Arkansas, Texas, and the treacherous town of New Ulm, Minnesota. Walls claims to be pro-education, but he mocked Vance for graduating from Yale Law School and suggested that he must be elitist. But it was from Yale Law School grad Hillary Clinton who referred to her fellow citizens as a basket of deplorables, not J.D. Vance. And it was Harvard Law School grad Barack Obama who demonized gun owners and religious people by saying they were clinging to their guns and their Bibles. Walls is pro-immigration, but he neglected to mention that Vance's wife is the daughter of immigrants from India. She, too, was one of those snooty folks with a Yale law degree. After graduation, she clerked for the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, which is the highest achievement for any law school grad. She is Hindu and her husband is Catholic. That's called diversity, Governor Walls. Thanks, Jim.
Spot on.
Walls is an infuriating fellow.
But that's got to take some healthy ego, doesn't it? To go down that road with Walls. My God.
Well, I'm trying to keep my distaste for Walls in context and in perspective. Walls, I wouldn't mind if you went off and pretended to be nationally important, if you had taken care of business at home.
Right.
But you've got too many unanswered frauds. You've got too many financial holes to fill. Your administration has been nothing but incompetent. And you seem to think that's business as usual. You have an out-migration now in the billions of income that was formerly earned in Minnesota. You're losing people, Walls. They don't like your policies. Your policies are disastrous. They're unaccounted for, and you continue to pile them up. And yet you want to go around and pretend you're decorating the gym for the presidential candidate from the Democratic Party. Take care of the business you were supposed to take care of. That's my problem with Walls.
But he's not going to meet you at that debate floor. He's going to bring up all the nonsense he did yesterday, and it's going to be met with resistance. We said a lot of what your emailer said yesterday, but he added so much more that was just spot on. Who's that guy? Who's your
he calls himself Timbuktu.
Brilliant points from him. Brilliant.
But Walls even called Vance a young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Well, then what are you, Walls? What the hell does that make you?
The thing is, we can meet him on whatever debate floor he chooses, and we're going to win.
Come on in, Walls.
Yeah. Whatever you want to talk about, you bring up the talking points.
I'll be good.
You know, he always mentions this nonsense about abortion. Well, the whole party does. Nobody on the right is talking about that.
That's because that party is so regressively left. They have no ideas.
I think it's just a distraction, Joe, to get us arguing about stuff that doesn't matter.
Yep, I do too. Not saying that I don't think a lot of Americans have a strong opinion about it, but I agree with you, Kenny. I think that is exactly why they continue to bring it up.
Well, I think they bring it up because they think it's going to be a voting point, like it was obviously in 2022. So the Democrats think if they can get that in front of that group of people that vote, boom, they're going to get more votes. I think that's,
Here's an example of the Biden administration really not having any ideas. They're going to forgive another $1.2 billion in student loans. Well, here's who qualifies. 35,000 borrowers who work in the public sector. Teachers, firefighters, you name it. The announcement marks the latest round in government loan relief after the Supreme Court last year blocked President Joe Biden's plan for broad-based college loan forgiveness. Well, this is the latest loan forgiveness. The Biden administration said it has waived $168.5 billion in debt for roughly 4.8 million Americans, according to the Department of Education. That represents about 1 in 10 student loan borrowers. The people who qualify for forgiveness in the latest round of debt cancellation are part of the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Is there a program for which we don't have a title or an acronym? That's the PSLF, which is designed to help public servants such as teachers, nurses, and law enforcement officers get their debt canceled after 10 years of repayments. Okay, let me try to interpret that based on some conversation we had before the show. Maybe what it is you've paid for 10 years. You've paid in, but you still have a balance left. I think it's that balance that's being forgiven.
That interest, yeah.
It's that balance that's being forgiven.
Yeah, when you take out a loan for $10,000, you pay far much more by the time it's paid off.
But this goes back to something I said the other day. I will be considered by the left to be radical because I believe you should pay your own debts. That would be considered a radical, right-wing, extreme thought. I believe you should pay your own debts.
It seems like white privilege speaking to me, Joe. Actually, you're privileged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But again, 50 years ago, that would not have been considered radical.
I don't even think 20 years ago it would have
No.
Or 10.
But this guy has no ideas. He never has. He is a career bureaucrat.
Well, call it what it is. It's buying your vote.
It's vote buying.
And there's already people waiting in line who make a lot of money who are waiting for Biden to take care of their student loans.
And I don't know if there's income qualifications. This reporting isn't what it used to be. This is from a CBS news site. Pay your loans or don't take any.
Well, how do you feel about the fact that it's just a certain sector of the public,
like the mayor of St. Paul,
that are being forgiven?
Well, I'm opposed to it. I'm opposed to it.
It just seems really obnoxious to me that they're just picking out a certain group of people and paying their loans out.
Here's a kid.
Either do them all or don't do any.
I was going to bring this up later, but I'm going to bring it up now because it fits. In Sherburne County, homeowners are hiring a kid who's 9 years old, Dylan Harapat, to trap gophers. So far, he's made about $78. Are gophers what I call chipmunks? Are they different?
In this case, they're talking about pocket gophers that never see the light of day.
Well, this kid's trapping them. He's in demand in Big Lake. Homeowner Jennifer Clotter said, Dylan is my newest best friend. I didn't even have a yard anymore. They're tearing it up inside now. You literally fall through the ground. My house is a disaster. The kids can't come out because they're falling through and hurting their ankles. And gophers do that much damage?
Yeah, you may have noticed in the spring, you'll see these little black mounds all over in yards and fields and even golf courses. That's the pocket gophers. Tunnels.
Kill all the gophers.
Throw away the key.
We don't even need a license.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But,
Plotter is talking about a gopher problem in her backyard. The burrowing rodents are tunneling underground and wrecking her grass. All of a sudden, I saw a little head perk out and it was like, oh my gosh, Clotter explained. I immediately called Dylan.
She saw one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dylan answered the call again and again and likely saved homeowners hundreds of dollars on exterminators. He charges $2 a gopher. It was $2 a gopher. Right now, this kid's no dummy. He's upped it to $5 a gopher.
Nice.
Everyone goes through me because he's only 9. He doesn't have Facebook, Dylan's dad, Aaron said. He sits down with a clipboard, and we try to organize our customers on a spreadsheet. If I had to guess, Dylan's probably booked out for at least 2 weeks. Okay. This kid is not going to go and irresponsibly get a student loan. At the age of 9, he's already got a GL mentality.
I already know what his future is. He's paying cash for everything.
Everything.
He's a smart kid.
Okay, GLers work, and they probably start by the age of 9.
No, and even better, he'll only take out loans to improve his credit score so then he can get a mortgage and such. He seems really brilliant.
This kid isn't sitting around playing video games. He's not studying his phone, if his parents even allow him to have one. He's trapping gophers at $5 a gopher. All right. Congratulations, kid.
Nice job.
Your kid is named. Give that kid a ray of hope.
Oh, boy, I didn't. Yeah.
His name is Dylan.
Yesterday's ray of hope.
Dylan Harapat.
You know how he proves work is done? When he gets the gopher,
shows you the tail.
Or he has to kill it. He cuts off the front feet, and then he puts them on a long monofilament line that he has attached to a big needle. So you can walk around with gopher feet dangling. That's how you get paid.
Well,